getting in the boom boom room, make it happen. Like, get it on.
Same. Get it on. Do your thing. I feel the
Do
same
your
way.
thing.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie.
I'm Kelly.
And we're here to find love. We're kicking off our channel with the first episode of Bachelor in Paradise. There's lots to talk about. We're going to go over the main couples that were being presented at the episode, some interesting themes we noticed about dating, and we're super excited to dive right in. So, Kelly, what did you think about the episode so far last night?
It was very, like, hot back summer vibes. Just everyone was just, like, in this, like, really adorable post-COVID, like, I need to socialize with everyone zone. Everyone's, like, making out.
The first episode is always, like, introductions, reintroductions, everyone talking about the people they could possibly be interested in. But I never really pay attention to that because once you meet them in person, the vibe is so different. And I loved, like, the first day of school energy that they have. Like, everyone's super excited. No one is, like, mad at each other yet. So it's really cool when everyone is just, like, really getting along. Happy to be there. Just kind of, like, crushing on each other. Being like, I really hope they talk to me. I just thought that was really cute to observe.
Totally. I completely agree. I think the funny thing is, I mean, up until the end where they started bringing in, like, the past season villains, it felt like everyone who was joining on the beach, they were all just, like, nice people. Like, they had it, they really, I feel like the large majority of the people, at least so far on this season, are all kind of little, like, mini heroes from their own seasons in their own rights. Like, they're all, like, very, like, kind of the nice people from their seasons. But then, of course, they brought in all the past villains, and then
Victoria,
that kind of, like,
Victoria
stirs the pot a little bit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was having some thoughts about that. I was thinking about, like, I don't know. I can't tell how I feel about all these little, like, mini redemption arcs. Can't tell if I find them, like, endearing or if I'm just like, well, you already know this guy's a dud. Why are you bringing him onto the beach and, like, you know, exposing him to all these people who then have to, like, deal with his tomfoolery? And me, I have to watch his tomfoolery. Why?
I did notice that. You're right. Like, because it's been 2 years of no bit, a lot of, like, fan favorites are kind of coming back. Like Abigail, Brandon, Serena, the girl who left The Bachelor, Joe. So many, like, good people are coming into the mix. But there's a few people where it's like, oh, these people are just, like, messy TV. And they're just going to stir the pot.
You can really tell the difference. I feel like you can tell the difference from, like, I think you're right, because there was no bit for several years. It feels like it was easy to pick out all of these, like, really good, high quality people and then just throw a couple of the, like, you know, clearly messy people in there just to stir the pot, which I guess is what BIP is all about. So I guess that's fine.
The biggest first impression of the season is obviously, like, we have a new host. Chris Harrison is no longer there. David Spade. Kind of love his energy. He just kind of feels like he got this job to make money, and I'm here for that. Like, I really just like how he clearly doesn't really know any of the people that are there.
Chris Harrison, like, more would, like, straddle the line between, like, completely, like, feeding the narrative and, like, completely making fun of himself, and, like, the fact that he has this, like, had this, like, hilarious weird job. So, like, I think David Spade is just leaning all the way into just making fun of himself, all making fun of the show, like, all the way in.
That's a really good point that you made, because you're right. Like, Chris Harrison, that was, I have my opinions about him. I was very happy when he left the show. I was like,
I agree.
Peace out.
I concur.
And I think that, like, but he was the scaffold that, like, structured the show in some ways. Like, he was someone that provided, like, he had, like, major dad energy, and him being on the show gave it a sense of, like, traditionalism of, like, you know, I'm the host of, like, these, like, with the leads, and, like, now I'm hosting the show, so it did feel a little bit more like, it had some more, like, gravity to it. Whereas I think of these celebrity hosts, like they are bringing in this new like experimental energy to the show.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
the guests can, like, all of the contestants can pick up on that. Like they can pick up on the fact that this feels like fresh and brand new, and they don't have to do things by the old book, because like in Chris Harrison's Bachelor in Paradise, yeah, kissing someone on the first night, that could mean you're like coupled up and other people coming on the beach all of a sudden, that could be like competition. This feels a little bit more like actual dating, where it's like other people come on the beach, that's kind of the way it goes. I think David Spade did a pretty good job just like introducing and setting up the show, and just like setting up the really fun vibe that the show will inevitably have.
Yeah, that I will be very interested to see how that energy kind of like shakes out. I agree with what you're saying, that, you know, yeah, it's almost like this like new era. There's like the Chris Harrison era of The Bachelor, and it's like now we're embarking on this kind of new era of Bachelor Nation, and like what kind of values we're gonna have at the heart of this show, and what are the things that, you know, what's the tone, what's the energy of the show, like what are the overarching like themes of the show. Like I'll be curious to see if the themes remain the same or if we start to shift toward other ones.
I mean, all of the contestants that we met on last night's episode, I think that, you know, everyone is like pretty important to the season, but I think for us, we want to mainly focus on like the emerging couples that are really going to be the linchpin of this season. Like it's setting up Serena and Joe, it's setting up Kenny and Mary, Abby and Noah. Yeah, those are the three couples that like the show is kind of like, this might be a thing. Tammy and Aaron, a little bit. There's not as much like airtime dedicated towards them, because I don't think they were as big of fan favorites as those three couples that we just mentioned. Especially Kenny and like his naked vibe. It just immediately, like production, I think they just love it when people play ball. And when people play ball, they kind of reward them with like,
totally,
we're going to edit you a certain way. So I think we were definitely seeing that, like a little bit of favoritism towards like Kenny's cut.
Totally, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, he was like looking great, so
40 and thriving. Like I was
thriving. Like, yeah, we love it.
Fantastic.
We're alive. Yeah, I will say, okay, so we should definitely talk about all of these couples. I mean, just to very quickly, I don't have too many thoughts about Tammy and Aaron. I think that they seem great for each other. Yeah. I actually kind of like her, and Aaron are kind of a hilarious couple too, because Aaron also has like a lot of opinions. So I feel like the two of them can just have opinions together, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
So,
like attracts like, and I think they're both kind of fiery.
Yeah.
So I do think that will be really interesting to see like how that plays out, because like you're always, whenever you're attracted to someone at first, like the things that you love about them, you start to like hate at the end. So I just wonder how that's going to play out. My thoughts are very like surface at this point. I think I had more. I think Mary and Kenny kind of remind me of the same vibe. Like Tammy, Aaron, Mary, Kenny, they seem like people that would have matched on a dating app or met at a party and had amazing, like been attracted to each other. So that's what I love, that it feels like an actual in real life match just playing out on camera. The couples I think that were the biggest for me was definitely Abigail and Noah, because they talked a lot about like friendzoning, which I thought was really interesting, and how Abigail was really emotionally reserved. That's also like really interesting, how she was talking about how she like buried her feelings and how it takes so long for her to open up. The very show, it just doesn't, like, you get engaged after like 4 weeks, and I just thought it was so funny that she was like, it took me 8 months until I could call this guy my boyfriend. It just, I feel like that's kind of like foreshadowing.
All right, I have thoughts about these two. First of all, I agree with Abby. I'm like, you should take 8 months to call someone your boyfriend. I'm kind of on the same page as her. I think I also like to take things slow. But you're right that being on this show, which is all about like accelerating the pacing of dating, like kind of an interesting choice for Abby. If that's like how she approaches dating, it kind of makes it like, why did you come here if you take this, like your approach to dating is to move slow, and this is a show all about moving real fast. So I'm curious, but I also like, I think that seems like a very like normal slash maybe even like healthy way to approach dating. She's just like, take it slow. Let me see if I actually like this person. Let me see if things are actually, you know, XYZ moving forward. I don't know about the whole like friend zoning thing. I have such like strong feelings about friend zoning. I mean, like the term friend zone, and like the friend zone is not a thing. And I think that having that phrasing itself is so, it's just problematic insofar as like it creates this weird dynamic between specifically men and women. And it creates this like weird understanding that like, or this weird connotation that men and women can't be friends, or that being friends is not a valuable
possible
thing. Yeah, not a valuable possible thing between men and women.
Yeah.
And I typically, I mean, I really reflect back to this like viral tweet from a while ago that was like, you know, imagine thinking that being friend zoned is worse than realizing that your like close friend doesn't actually value as a whole person and just wants to fuck you. And like, I think that's true. So I really don't like the invocation of the concept of friend zoning here. I think it's okay for you to like get to know someone and realize you don't have romantic feelings for them and then say, can we just be friends? But I think that using the phrasing of friend zoning is just not helpful, and it's like not helpful to either party. And I also think like it's just very easy to say like I don't always develop romantic feelings for people very quickly, or like people like me and I'm not interested in them. Like those are like much easier things to say versus that friend zoning concept. I think like creates this like weird, like it like unnecessarily like blurs, or like it has a lack of like I guess like a lack of boundaries that are involved in that kind of language. So those are my thoughts about friend zoning. I love Abby. I just think that language is just a little bit, it's just not helpful. And you can see like the way it like made Noah behave in a certain way too. Like sexy with this person like really quickly so that, you know, she can only see me in a certain way. And it's like, she just said that she wants to move slowly. Why are you like making out with her? You know, she like just said that.
I think girls and guys can be friends. I think there can be some really beautiful friendships that can occur. And when people feel like, no, the only value is if I can be like sexually attracted to you, it just removes this dimension of like companionship and community that we could all take part of. And
yeah,
you're right. When she did say that she friend zones people really quickly, a lot of people have this concept of, okay, that means I need to immediately show her that I'm not a friend. And that typically is by like physically being more like intimate or being really close or really stating their interest. Like, I also love the fact that Abigail is a slow mover in relationships. But when you're in the context of the show, you kind of like you're being challenged constantly, and you're kind of having to show different sides to yourself or try out new things that you typically wouldn't do in a normal setting. That's what I love about watching the show, just seeing people do things they typically wouldn't do. Or, you know, because when you're dating someone, you typically don't see a hot person sit next to them and start making out with them. Or like you don't get a rose to like show interest. You don't feel like you can go home next week if they don't pick you. Like there's all of these elements that make the attraction really chaotic, and it's funny that they're kind of they're in the crosshairs of that, like both of them. Like they're interested in each other, but then it's like, okay, we gotta get the show moving.
It's definitely interesting. Like I'll be curious to see how their relationship pans out. I mean, based on the previews, it looks like it does move forward. Yeah, I was not particularly impressed with Noah's behavior. I like kind of didn't like his general vibe toward her. Like just like you need to relax. Like, and she goes like, oh, do I seem uptight? And he's like, I can't tell yet. Like it's a little bit like almost like negging. Like I don't know. It was just like a little bit like, I don't know. I like his vibe toward her was like super weird. And then like, I don't know, kissing her when she like directly said that she likes to move slow. I don't know. All that stuff like kind of gave me weird vibes. But who knows? Maybe they're gonna be fine. But I wasn't particularly impressed with the way that he handled himself on that date. Just because he's like cute and charming doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I don't know. I was like a little bit like iffy about his whole thing.
Yeah, so that's how we feel about Abigail and Noah. Let's move on to like the couple that seems like it's gonna cause the most drama this season, and that's Joe, that's Serena, and it's obviously Kendall coming in hot a few episodes later. So, like, Joe, I loved just how I just love him as a person. I think that he was really vulnerable about the fact that, like, he came to the beach and he was like, I was gonna get a haircut. He's like wearing the clothes that he wants to wear. And they're calling him Gym Joe. Like, he's wearing gym shorts. And then he feels so insecure next to all of these other, like, not only just, like, really attractive people, but attractive people that haven't been as, like, they haven't been through the same experiences that he's been on the beach. Like, he walked away with Kendall the season that he was on, and all of these people are kind of like newcomers that are just so excited about the possibility of being in love, but the entire, like, environment, that beach to him is really triggering, and I don't think that he realized how intense it would be for him to be back in that situation after falling out of love with someone that he met on the show.
I found it very attractive that he, was... I think what his behavior signaled to me was that his feelings for Kendall were so real, and that his relationship with her was that's like real life. Like, in real life, like, if you, like, I mean, everyone on this show, everyone, like, laughs and calls each other their exes, and Katie tweeted, she was like, oh, it's like hilarious to see all my exes on the beach, like, flirting with each other. But the truth is, it's like, in real life, like, your real exes, like, you actually have feelings about it, and, like, it's, like, much more complicated than just, like, laughing about, like, them all making out and stuff like that. There's much more complicated feelings there, and so that to me signals that, like, you know what, Joe, like, had some really real feelings for Kendall. That was not just, like, a flighty thing that happened on TV. Like, that was a thing that was clearly very, very real to him, and was a real relationship, and so I appreciated it. I honestly, like, to me, it was attractive. To me, it signals, like, this is a guy who actually, like, falls in love and, like, means it, and, like, isn't, like, in this, I don't know. I often, like, question the type of love that is shown on this show, I think, as everyone probably does, like, the type of love that's shown on all of these Bachelor series. Like, people are so quick to say that they are in love with each other, and, often it's, like, so surface level. Often it's like they're falling in love with this, like, honeymoon feeling, and this, whatever, this, like, experience is, like, exacerbating their emotions, and then they get out of the experience, and then it, like, obviously most often it peters out. It just, dissipates because, life isn't this, like, 2-month honeymoon stage. Life is so much more extensive and expansive. But the fact that Joe came out to this beach and had this, like, sincere feeling of, like, oh, like, this is making me uncomfortable because I'm thinking about my ex-girlfriend, like, that to me signals those are real feelings. Like, he had a real ass relationship with Kendall. That's admirable. And, like, I'm like, if I was any of those girls on the beach, I would be like, honestly, like, obviously, like, it's hard to, like, connect with someone who's, like, still missing their ex, but it is a little bit, like, I would find it attractive that he is, paying attention to his feelings, as you said, and two, like, just actually willing to, like, be in love with someone, in a earnest, meaningful way, not just, like, in this, like, weird surface level way. So yeah, I kind of respected him, I would say, quite a lot.
I would say that, yeah, you're spot on of your assessment, because I think that his display of vulnerability is the display of vulnerability that I find to be really attractive. He has access to his emotions, and it's not like a Greg Katie way where it's kind of like a Disney prince. Everything is kind of glossed over. He's saying the right things. He is making eye contact, but when shit really goes down, when conflict shows up, when the cracks start to show, he wasn't able to really handle that, or able to navigate that in a way that actually, like, garnered more connection. With Joe, you could see that he was really vulnerable, the way that he was talking about his appearance, the way that he was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I feel like this is emotionally a lot. especially after his first conversation with Serena, for him to say it reminded me of Kendall. I don't think it was him being like, I'm not over Kendall. I think it was him being like a normal person who's like, I broke up with someone that, or we broke up because there were a lot of things that didn't work in the relationship. We were growing apart. Distance was a factor. I've put her firmly in the past. But then all of a sudden, you're back in like a time capsule where you're back to the same place you fell in love with the person, and you're just experiencing all of those things. You're seeing all of these people. You're remembering the excitement of how you were when you first came to the beach. I think a lot of that just crashed around him, and he was like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this experience. And it was really great that he was able to talk that out with Wells. I think Wells gave really like cliched advice of like, you have to open your heart, but it's cliched because it's true. Like, Joe just has to like be willing to, okay, let me just have a moment to process all of my feels, and then let me just go into the situation and be really open-minded. I think that Serena and him, when they were interacting, that was chemistry in action. It wasn't like chemistry in like a, like when it burns really hot, like that kind of spark. It felt like they genuinely got along with each other. Like they were able to make fun of each other. They were able to joke with each other. They had like this nervousness that was a little bit palpable, like especially before the first kiss, like the way that they were just kind of like moving around each other. I thought that was really attractive to see that kind of demonstration of like, okay, this is what it's like when two people are just like vibing with each other.
Yeah, I agree completely. Their energy was, I mean, she like read him like a book too. She just did. You know, she was like, I get it, you're thinking about XYZ Kendall stuff, blah blah blah, but also like, I'm cute, we have a vibe, let's make out. And like, you know, like I was like, oh, okay, like go off. Like I loved it. I think that she like, it's funny because she's, you know, 23 and she's
a baby.
You know, she's a baby, and she, I think she kind of comes off that way. She comes off as like young, like her energy is so young and like playful and vibrant and like attractive. She's like, it's just like very, very young and just like vibrant. But I also think she's like very intuitive and just like, you know, she clearly understood like how Joe was feeling, and she was willing to like name that. She wasn't like everyone else on the beach was just like, look at Joe over there by himself, lol, like kind of like laughing at him from the distance, versus she like was like, I'm gonna go like have a conversation with him and like try to like, you know, help him like get into the zone and like feel comfortable here on the beach.
And this could be like the last point that we touch upon on this episode, because there wasn't a lot happening. What I thought was really interesting was how the men had the roses this week. So I thought that dynamic was really interesting to see play out, because that is a really big dynamic and a really big conversation starter in like dating now. Like, who initiates first? What does it mean? Do the guys like the chase? Do the girls have to just sit back? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't think it matters who makes the first move. I think people can get really like weird about it, or think that there's like inherently something like people like have this idea that like making the first move means that like you must be desperate, or that you're, you know, whatever, like, ooh, like you like want it so bad and no one is like approaching you and like whatever. Like there's this like weird kind of connotation there, but like I don't know, it's like all these people are on the beach. Obviously they all want it. They're all here because they want people to like them. They are all here because they want to talk to cute boys or talk to cute girls or whoever, right? And it's like, I don't know why we have to play this like weird game of like who says it out loud that they want it, because you're all here. I know you all want it. I know you all want the attention, every single one of you.
I think the same thing too, because I think that like it represents secure attachment, and I think a sense of like worth in yourself and confidence of like if you initiate, I kind of see it as you're welcome. Like, I am doing it because I know what I bring to the table. If you're not into it, I will find someone else that will be so into it, because I know what I want, and it's not like I don't want to waste my time. I'm just gonna like, because that energy can be different. It could be like a little bit off-putting if it's kind of like, if you lean too much into that like empowerment of like, I'm the best person ever, and like I really just, you know, like I feel like when people are interacting with me, they should be like really thankful and grateful that I'm giving them my time and energy. I don't think it's like that. I think it's more so of just like, you know your worth, and if it doesn't work out with that one person, you're not making it a value indictment on yourself as a person. If they're not into you, that doesn't mean anything about you as a person. That's them. You can find someone else, and you will find someone else.
Exactly. Oh my God, so well said. Yeah. Really well said. I completely agree with that.
That's how I feel. I was just like, when Victoria was talking about how she likes it best when she sits back and they initiate, it just takes all of the power out of you. There's so many like things that could be like misconstrued or misinterpreted or completely missed. And it's like, why not just be like, okay, I like you, and just be really straightforward and direct in dating. I just always thought that ethos was better.
I completely agree. And I really like too what you said about like, it's like a security thing. Like if you're really secure in yourself and like confident, then like you're not gonna feel nothing if you walk up to a boy and they like don't like you. Like you're not gonna like, that's not gonna like faze you, because it's like all right, like that's a weird opinion of yours, okay, see ya. Like I'm hella cute, like you know. So it really is a reflection of security. Like if you're like, oh, I don't want to ask a boy out because, you know, I don't want to like seem desperate, I don't want them to reject me, like that's a signal that like, like maybe like there's some security or confidence in yourself that is a little bit shaky, which is okay. I mean, I get it. Like, not to say that everyone has to be the 1000% confident type of person, but you know, I do agree with you completely.
This is the last point I want to make about it, but we could use Serena as a really good example of this. I think Serena has like abundance mentality, not scarcity mentality.
Yes.
For her to drop Matt in that it was really funny when she was like, bye Matt, and then she put him in the limo, he like drove away.
Yeah. Oh my God,
like it was
so
a complete it was just so funny. Like the shoe was on the other foot, and I think a lot of people found that to be really attractive. Like some of the guys on the show were like really intentionally looking out for Serena because they liked that she was very like aware of what she wanted, and she is not someone that I think has a scarcity mindset. It wasn't like Serena was on the couch hyperventilating and freaking out, oh my God, all of these guys that weren't interested in me. It's what she did instead was, I'm kind of interested in Joe, let me see what Joe is up to. She didn't make it a self-worth thing. She wasn't like in a scarcity mindset of like, I need to grab onto any guy that's like a little bit interested in me. She was really like abundant with the way that she saw herself and her self-worth, and I think that's why she comes across so attractively.
Right. I mean, and you can really juxtapose Serena to, let's say, like Kelsey or Victoria, where I really think with both of them, you can kind of sense that they are really looking for validation from other people. Like, you can really sense that.
I would just say, like, a final closing point. Like, this episode was very, you know, just a lot of basic setup, a lot of introductions, nothing super, super exciting. I'm excited for the rest of this season. It's really just more so like a really good distraction this summer. Like, I just want to see these people be messy. I want to see them fall in love. I want to see new people come on the beach. I want to see all of that. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, like, Demi, like, pisses me off, but I do want her to, like, happily bone around on the beach. Like, I want to see her thrive. I want to see everyone getting in the boom boom room, make it happen. Same. Like, get it on.
Same. Get it on. Do your thing. I feel the same way.
Do your thing. Okay, well, that wraps it up for today's video. This is our first one ever, and we'd love to hear what y'all think. So do hit the like button if you liked our conversation. Subscribe if you want to hear more. We'll be uploading videos weekly after every episode of BIP this season, so stay tuned for more. Also, leave some comments down below if you agreed with the things that we said, if you disagreed with the things that we said, if you have any thoughts you want to hear it. Let's keep the conversation going. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.